So, you want to be a real estate investor, but where do you start? How do you know what information and sources to trust? That's where I come in. I'm Jonny Cattani, and this is the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. Hey guys, real quick, before we start, go to investwithcattani.com and download my free ebook, Is Commercial Real Estate Recession Proof? Now to today's show. What's up, guys, and welcome to an episode of the IRR Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Cattani, and I'm joined by an awesome guest today, Adrian Chuquillangui. Adrian is the CEO and founder of St. Joseph's Capital, a commercial multifamily real estate syndication company with the purpose of inviting and educating faith-driven leaders into a world of new streams of tax advantage, passive income, and impact. St. Joseph's Capital assists investors nationwide investing in real estate while also donating 50% of profits to assist missionaries committed to sharing the hope and joy of the gospel with high school and university students on campuses around the globe. He is also the host of the St. Joseph's Capital podcast, which is a collection of interviews with top experts in the real estate industry with a focus on the synergies between faith, personal growth, impact creation, and real estate investing. In addition to his involvement in the real estate industry, Adrian is a Catholic husband, father, and U.S. Coast Guard officer. So again, very excited to have you, Adrian. And how's everything going so far?
Hey, Jonathan, thanks for having me. Glad to be here, man. Excited for this recording. And yeah, man, things are going really well.
Awesome. So also a fellow member of Raisemasters. You're going to hear me talk about Raisemasters a lot. Shout out to Hunter and Adam, two awesome people who have really created an awesome mentorship group. And have you enjoyed your time in Raisemasters as well?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, so much that I've learned, and Hunter and Adam have put together such an incredible mastermind and just team of capital raisers that are all kind of after just improving their businesses and being able to syndicate at a higher level. So yeah, it's an honor to be a part of the group, and Jonathan, glad to get connected with you through Raisemasters as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a network like that can connect so many people. They really, like you said, put together something special. So really excited to talk about what you're up to. But before we kind of get into right now, let's talk about some of the early days, kind of starting out. Read through some things on your LinkedIn, and did you come from a military family, or what kind of led you to the Coast Guard?
Yeah, so great question. I'm just a simple guy from Northern Virginia. My dad immigrated from Ecuador, and my mom is a Virginia native. So I had 5 siblings. There's 6 of us growing up. My dad really gave us the gift of our Catholic faith, and my mom was a convert to the faith. And we grew up going to church and Catholic school, and played sports, basketball and soccer mostly growing up. And my mom's dad was in the Air Force and eventually the CIA. But other than that, no military family members. So I was kind of the first one, from my siblings to join the military and the Coast Guard for that fact.
Oh, very cool. Okay. So I guess the CIA, then that explains in Northern Virginia. Are you close to Langley then, or?
Yeah, so that's my mom grew up in McLean, but I actually grew up a little bit south of that in Prince William County. So yeah, that explains why we're here in Virginia. Very
cool. Okay, and then it looks like you also went to the academy. Kind of talk about that. What the education was like, and how that's sort of led you to where you're at today.
Yeah, for sure. So I didn't really know anything about the military or the Coast Guard in high school until my senior year, when I was really focused on being able to play basketball during college. And so my principal at my high school, he was a Coast Guard Academy graduate and retired Coast Guard commander. And he really showed me the opportunity and connected me with the basketball coaches at the Coast Guard Academy. And God just really opened up a door for me to go to the Coast Guard Academy, and not knowing anything about it, but it's a federal service academy, 4-year undergraduate and commissioning program. Military school where once you finish the 4 years, you commission as a Coast Guard officer and serve, in the Coast Guard in a variety of different capacities, whether it's search and rescue, drug interdiction, alien and migrant interdiction, fisheries, law enforcement, and a few other missions that we have. But it's definitely been a cool experience, being in the Coast Guard. I've been able to meet my wife through a Coast Guard assignment that kind of put us together geographically, and then we got to visit a bunch of cool places and get stationed in some amazing locations, and as well as serve the mission, the humanitarian mission of the Coast Guard. So it's definitely been a fun ride so far.
That's very awesome. Sounds like a lot of really awesome experience, I'm sure, which helps, when you're talking to investors. Obviously they see that as a huge positive with all that experience. So, I also noticed that you talked about in the beginning, you were unsure about focusing on finances, especially becoming a husband and a father. So talk to me about, how you found that, I know, through God, and what's led you to St. Joseph's Capital.
Yeah, sure. And it's definitely been a part of the journey where I was a little bit afraid of diving into finances and investing a little too heavily. I think coming from a church background, and kind of having that mentality of that the pursuit of wealth can be a malintentioned pursuit. And so just having a mindset shift really that started with actually reading scripture, and especially the parable of the talents, which is a story in one of the gospels about a master who entrusted a few of his servants with a different number of talents. And so one of those talents was in those days as a form of currency, right? And he entrusted one with 5, one with 2, and one with 1. And the one that had 5 and 2 went and produced more with what they were given, and the one that had 1 just buried it in the ground. And so I really resonated with the one who had buried that 1 in the ground, that one form of currency, the talent. And so that really kind of sparked that mindset shift to say, hey, Adrian, you got to go do something with what you've been given, and share the blessings that you've been graced with. And so that kind of led me down to, okay, well, what are good ways that I can invest with what I have, and came across real estate, and just started learning about real estate and all the different profit centers, and I can go into that deeper too. But I'll just pause because I know I can go on a tangent if I go down that one.
Of course. I mean, I can tell you're very passionate about it. So that's awesome. And again, I'm sure that resonates with your investors as well. So let's jump into that. When you're looking and finding investors and talking to investors, I assume you don't require them to be as faith driven as you, or is that a requirement?
No, so it's definitely, I'd love to do business with all investors that are looking to, do something good with their time, talent, and treasure. I think, as someone who is looking for others who are investors, definitely, if they resonate with our mission, with trying to serve the mission of the gospel, then that's great. If not, then there's definitely room to work with our investors on that side as well. But yeah, I mean, on the real estate side, that journey really started out with just the purchase of a condo at one of my previous duty assignments, using the VA loan, and receiving an assignment a little bit earlier than expected. Knowing that we were going to have to move to a new duty station, I figured that there had to be some sort of Facebook group or community that helps people figure out how to manage rentals or their properties once they PCS. And so that's when I got connected with Active Duty Passive Income, which is a group of military real estate investors that are, helping other military members learn about real estate and, take action in terms of, using the resources that they've been given to invest in real estate and to start building wealth for their families. And so that's really kind of what that next step was after, reading and sitting with the Parable of the Talents.
Awesome. Okay, that's very cool. So talk to me then about kind of your portfolio journey, starting with this one condo and then where it kind of grew from there.
Yeah, sure. So, after getting connected with ADPI, or Active Duty Passive Income, I was really set on buying and holding single family residential turnkey properties. I really loved the concept of, receiving a 10%, 7 to 10% cash on cash return off one property and capitalizing on the tax advantages of doing that. And I thought that was really cool. But then I just kept continuing to hear about commercial multifamily. And I was like, why haven't I ever heard of that before? And so ADPI had a multifamily mastermind and academy that I just jumped in and dived into. And, once I dove into that and kind of made that investment into myself, invested passively into a 72 unit apartment syndication in Arkansas, and really just love all the advantages, not only of real estate, but also, commercial multifamily. Just talking about the advantages of real estate with all the different profit centers, whether it's cash flow, appreciation, tax advantages, and so much more. With commercial multifamily, you have a little bit more advantages as well, because with commercial, you have the valuation determined by the performance of the property, how much income it's bringing in, as opposed to comparable properties, right? So it's like a huge draw because you have more control, over the value. And then, and additionally, it's a little more recession resistant, right? Because when you have a property that has 100 units as opposed to one, and you have more vacancies, you still are bringing in income, as opposed to on the residential side, you don't have those same ways to protect your assets. So really just loved commercial multifamily, and that's kind of where we decided, like, hey, let's go active with this. And so now we're just really focused on syndicating large apartment deals and building those partnerships and finding good deals. So
Absolutely. Yeah, you touched on something really important that I know you hear a lot of from people who are coming from, sort of the single family portfolio wholesaling side. The scalability is a huge factor. You mentioned 100 units compared to 1 unit. And then that just percentage factor of, even if your vacancy does drop to, a 10% vacancy, you're still creating that income, for your investors, and, obviously able to keep money coming in, as opposed to the single family. So with all that, did you liquidate your single family assets and, to move towards this, or do you still hold on to those right now?
Well, the single family property that we had actually wasn't that great of an investment. So we did offload that one after a little bit of education. But yeah, now completely focused on commercial multifamily properties.
Awesome. And then you mentioned when we were offline there that you're just focusing on capital raising. Are you looking to eventually get to the operation side of things, or it's going to just stick to the capital raising?
I would love to eventually focus on, being more involved on the acquisitions and finding deals, myself, but really just focused on building that skill and capacity to raise capital. I think, one thing that I love about, this space with syndication is that, you can leverage other people's skills and talents and experience. I don't necessarily have to be the one that's, managing the asset all by myself, where I don't have to be the one that's going out and finding deals all by myself, as opposed to, if one does stay in the single family residential space, there kind of is that feel to it. And so that's kind of why I just want to focus on one of the roles with syndication before focusing my effort on building another skill.
Absolutely. I totally understand that. I'm honestly in the exact same boat. And I mean, I'm definitely a little biased here, but I think if you're going to, learn one skill in the beginning, being able to raise capital is probably the number one skill to learn and grow with, because that's always, the number one thing that, they say if you have a deal, they'll come, but I've certainly seen scenarios where that's not the case, and you're scrambling to raise capital and, maybe having to do some things that you didn't intend to do in terms of bringing that capital in. So so let's kind of swing over to that. What markets are you focused on right now, and what's gotten you excited for 2022?
Yeah, so really like the Midwest markets with Kansas City, a little bit of Oklahoma, a little bit of Iowa. But I think what's really gotten me excited for 2022 is some of those relationships that we've been building. The last 12 months are kind of becoming more solid, and those opportunities to create those partnerships are starting to show up. And going back to what I was saying before about raising capital, it's like I am allowing those investors to kind of focus on what they're good at. And so with them focusing on the deal finding and the acquisition side, I feel like I can, start to bring value to them by, sharing with them some, the investors that we've built relationships with, and provide value to their teams by, sharing our investors. So really excited about that.
Absolutely. So kind of talk to me a little bit about what your process is for finding those investors. You mentioned you have the podcast and you have the active military side. Is that primarily your networks right now, or what else are you working on?
Yeah, so those are the two big things I'd say, is the podcast and then just the immediate network that I've been a part of with the military. But really starting to create new relationships outside of those initial networks with some of the faith-driven leaders and professionals that I've gotten to know through networking on LinkedIn and at other kinds of conferences, and really excited about some of those opportunities that maybe aren't being pursued by some other syndicators and capital raisers. And I think that's kind of the cool thing about capital raising too, is in working on the investor relations side of the business, is that everyone can bring their own unique networks to the industry and share with them these kinds of passive investment opportunities that you're not going to see with the stock market and other places as well. So that's one of the cool things about being in the space, for sure.
Absolutely. And I know that's one thing that when you talk to those who have been in the space for a long time, they all sort of have their niche, right? Or their certain investor avatar that they focus on. And certainly, investors come in outside of that avatar every now and then, but it sounds like you have yours pretty dialed in. So talk to me now about St. Joseph's Capital. I'm a huge proponent of giving back. My thing is a little bit more on the mental health side as opposed to religious aspect. But was that always, from the beginning, you wanted to give 50% of profits, or kind of talk to me about how you got into that path?
Yeah, so I guess first, man, I love your mission as well. I think mental health is such an issue and challenge that our society has to face, and so good on you, man, for tying with that mission, because it's vastly crucial and important, especially this past couple of years. So
absolutely,
keep on hammering with that. And that, with, with our mission with St. Joseph's Capital and being tied to giving back towards missionaries, it really started out when I was during my time at the Coast Guard Academy. And I had a missionary who was working for this organization called Focus, which is the Fellowship of Catholic University Students. And so the Coast Guard Academy had these missionaries assigned, on campus. And there was a couple of missionaries that really, invested time and effort and energy into the relationship that we had. And so that relationship led to, him inviting me into a Bible study, and which led to me really just like falling, in love with Scripture and building that relationship with Christ. And that then led to, myself starting another Bible study with some other friends and students that I knew, and going on different mission trips throughout my time at the Coast Guard Academy. And so really just huge proponent of the mission of Focus, and having, someone like a mentor almost invest into, your growth as a person, and really just, I think it's just such a need in our culture and society today, with just the struggle for people to know who they are, and to kind of live up to what it means to be a man or to be a woman, and to be a person of after God's own heart. And so really just passionate about that mission, and I guess to speak to the second point of giving 50%, it's like going back to the parable of the talents in the Gospel of Matthew. It's like, what we've been given is already a part of God's kingdom. And I think that God's just going to bless us if we just give him back more. And I guess speaking to kind of what we were talking about on the pre-show with a guy by the name of Whitney Sewell, really just inspired by the way that he gives back, and his level of generosity, and just trying to model what he's doing a little bit. So I would say that's kind of the intention behind that. So
awesome. I love that so much. Yeah. Whitney, like we mentioned in the beginning, is awesome guy. He came on and spoke to the Raisemasters right as I was joining, and I was also very inspired. That's what's inspired me to really focus, as Cattani Capital grows, to focus on giving to that mental health as well. So I really love a fellow investor and someone else in the space who also has a mission, because I think, we've been given, certain talents. And like you mentioned, in the beginning, you really had to focus and realize that you had certain talents, and it was, in your interest, and as you saw it in God's interest, to use those talents, and you're obviously using them very well. So very admirable. And, always good to hear when people are giving back. So cool. So we're getting now down to the final 5 questions here. So just kind of some awesome rapid fire questions. What's the best advice you've gotten from a mentor?
Ooh, best advice. I would say the best advice that I've gotten is just to be yourself, and to not be afraid of living out that, of what you envision yourself to be and to become. Because I feel like, when we are the most closest to who we are and who we're meant to be, I feel like we're going to have so much more success in business, because really that is our personal brand. And I think, especially today in 2022, we're hearing so much about personal brand. When we're in alignment with, who we are, we're just going to live that out, so much better. And that's just going to translate, into the business side. So I think that's been a huge piece of advice that's kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, you really nailed it right there. And, one thing, I'm not sure about you, but I struggle with a little bit of imposter syndrome, kind of getting into this space. I do come from a finance background. I was a stockbroker for a while, but, certainly you see people who are successful and in this space, and you're like, oh man, but like you said, you get back to your roots and who you are, and you realize that you actually do bring a skill level and a talent to this space that, it may not have seen before. And so it's really awesome to be able to do that and feel like, you're doing the right thing. So next question here. Here at Cattani Capital Group, we like to celebrate our failures. I think that if you're failing, that means you're trying hard enough. So give me a recent failure or mistake and what you learned from it.
Yeah, sure. I'll take it back to what I was talking about with the single family residential space when we had bought the condo out at a previous duty assignment. I had, bought that with little education. And once I got that education, thankfully I got that education, but once I got that education, I started to see that it was a really bad investment. Even as a, real estate property, we kind of had our hands tied with what to do, because the submarket there at that duty station was really suffering, while everything around it was doing really well. And so not only did the values of that building, the properties within that building, fall, but so did the rent that, I would have been getting for that property if we were to hold on to it wouldn't have been able to sustain, just because the HOA fees were so significant in that submarket that it just was a really bad investment. So we kind of had our hands tied in, but thankfully we reached out to ADPI, and they kind of helped me to see that. But we had to pursue a strategic short sale, to kind of be able to move forward from that situation. That was really a tough few months. But I think, for anyone listening, I think that, when you face those failures, it can kind of be easy to, put your head down and just kind of give up with your goals, but I would say, like, there's always, light at the end of the tunnel, and just, keep persevering, because there's a way out if you get into those kind of tough situations, and, it's just going to make you stronger.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that's probably helped now in your, due diligence as you look at deals and even operators and in what markets they're in and your market analysis. So I'm sure, that was a very valuable lesson in hindsight, and glad you were able to come out of that one. All right. What is your favorite non-real estate book?
Ooh, I like this one a lot. So I would say that my favorite non-real estate book is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Not sure if you read it, but definitely highly recommend. Just love the whole concept of, that personal journey to, realize your purpose and potential in life. And such a great book.
Absolutely. Awesome. Are you a fan of Marvel at all? Like Marvel superheroes?
I haven't always been, but my wife and I recently just kind of started rewatching some of the movies, and we're having a blast doing that. So we're really enjoying those movies recently.
Perfect. That sets up this question well then. So if your personal investor avatar, like you personally were a Marvel superhero, which one would you be?
Oh man, this is tough. I would say I don't know. I've been relating to the new Spider-Man a lot lately.
Nice. I love it.
Because he's like the old Spider-Man combined with Iron Man. So it's like he's got all the tech on him. So
nice.
I'd say the new Spider-Man.
That's a good one. I love it. Awesome. And then last one, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you and find your content?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say the best way is our website, stjosephscapital.com. We also recently just finished producing our new passive real estate investing course. And so that can be accessed for anyone looking to, learn about real estate syndication or learn about, commercial real estate. It's definitely been a fun resource to put together. But yeah, that's on our website at stjosephscapital.com, and that's stjosephscapital.com. And then also to, feel free to reach out via LinkedIn is another good place as well.
Awesome. Well, we will link all that in the show notes as well to make it easy for everyone to find you. Adrian, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to the next time we can connect.
Yeah, Jonathan, it's been a blast, man. I look forward to continuing to get to know you, and excited to see the success of this podcast.
I appreciate it very much, man. Have a good one.
All right, buddy.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. Listen, I know it's cliche and you hear it all the time, but please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out. Even though this is technically a daily podcast, you know it's coming out the next day. We have a ton of content coming your way. So please like and subscribe. It helps a ton. Leave comments. Would love to know what you guys think. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks so much.